You survived. You made it.
Alright. So from an audio standpoint, welcome.
Yeah. What's up, y'all? It's the Normal Extra Smart Africans episode. Actually, we're in the double digits now, so episode 11.
Hey, 1-1.
1-1, episode 11. I'm Gerald, Odanzi, Mike, and we have a really special guest today. Actually, he's actually my little brother. His name is Freddie, and he's a computer engineer by trade. And he has a lot of really good thoughts on like AI. So we thought we had to have him for this episode. So I'm really glad he's here today, talking to us about pretty much AI. What's like kind of like the pretty much AI? Is it like kind of like this dystopian future type thing, or is it like just this useful tool that is kind of misunderstood?
Well,
so
what is an AI? Serious stuff. You know, because I'm pretty sure some people are watching and they just jump on the wave. Yeah, we see it on TV. Yeah, we see understand about it. Okay, we know it does something like a cat, but like we don't know what AI is. So kind of enlighten.
I would enlist Mike because he's probably good at like gonna sum it up in like 2 sentences.
I want to hear the guess though.
Okay.
No, I mean, realistically, AI, artificial intelligence, I basically see it as advanced Google, right? So everything that you want to get done in a quicker amount of time, that's how you use it. Like AI is a tool more than something that's actually going to affect humans doing stuff. Like you actually need humans to fuel a lot of that stuff. Like AI is powered by humans and the data that we give it. So like AI is basically, I would say, a tool that we use to like further enhance our quality of life, but it's not. I think there's a lot of buzz around it, but like
Like what kind of buzz? Like what's said about AI in popular culture that's like, yeah, well, that's kind of silly.
So first of all, like even furthermore, like everybody uses TikTok. Where you post stuff.
I think so. You know,
yeah,
sometimes.
Yeah, TikTok is
like any essay on TikTok if you want to follow.
TikTok is my go-to when I'm trying to ignore work, right? So like ideally, like you know, you scroll up, you see stuff like Otis AI, stuff like that for like content creators, right? It's like a way to like you know make your content creation go blah blah blah. But to be honest, when I think about AI, I think it's a big thing that really gets shareholders going crazy. Like it's not one of these things that's like actually going to change the landscape of like yeah. So like a bigger example, right? Like I used to work for this company. We did like self-checkout, right? Self-checkout is one of those things where it is great to have, and it makes and it's like it's like AI like in the sense of like technology assistance, right?
Yeah.
Like it's great because it kind of like makes things a little faster.
Seamless.
You can have less attendants like doing what you have to do. But at the same time, you still need a human working it. Like you still need a human to sit there and do whatever it has to do. And that's how I feel about like Bing Chat, GPT, stuff like that. So yeah, that's how I would sum it up all. It's like a tool that really assists you in doing what you got to do, but at the end of the day, they're gonna still need you.
Like, I love the super Google, you know,
yeah,
they use.
Yeah.
And then, but I also think that one of the reasons why a lot of people are kind of so like a uproar about you know the ideas of AI because they're like very similar. Like maybe a small story. Like I went to Dubai, right? Found out that there was an irrigation system that was just put in place. I asked an old guy a story about it, right? He told me about 120 people who wake up from 4 different districts, right? That's close to 1,000, right? And that's like something. And then they wake up every morning and they go to water these plants, right? For 6 hours a day, right? And that was their job. And they go to wake up in the morning, pick these plants, place water these plants, go back home, and they get paid for that, right? And 2 engineers, college, right, developed a software that could power irrigate that whole area, and they could control it from a computer.
Yeah.
And now instead of those almost like 800 people getting up to do those watering system, 2 guys they literally built some power so like we put it that, right? And they both control it from a small room, and that education is gone, right? Yeah. Much more effective, you know, less people on it, right?
Yeah.
So in a way, it's like, okay, this is a great thing that I have this thing, right? I think a science is supposed to do to make things go forward, right? Now that's 800 people out of a job. too, right? Which is kind of like
But
inevitable.
I would even challenge that furthermore, where maybe 14 people get a job actually doing the maintenance on the irrigation systems in the mechanical way, right?
Exactly. So it's people who have like a next level.
But 700 to 14 is crazy, right?
But then also skill-wise, right? Those 14 were not like the chosen for 14.
Yeah.
But they didn't bribe enough to pay the money. They had the jobs to fit that, right?
Yeah.
If any of the 100 people, 800 people who were in those jobs with those 2 engineers, right? They could kind of do that. So we're kind of reaching the stage when the internet came, so many jobs became obsolete. Yeah. Just because the internet existed, right? And then when things like Google and other like big platforms started going better with more advanced searches and more enhanced things, like things other jobs were now kind of done. Now some things that you can pay somebody for, you can get AI to do that, and you can pay your AI nothing. You can just buy the AI, or you can make your AI, right? So that's the area where it's like, okay, there's definitely going to be a disparity shift in the market, right? Is this something that's inevitable that we're just going to expect to come? Should we prepare for it? Is it a bad thing? Is it a good thing? What are your thoughts on that kind of idea?
So again, like I think, and even like when you talk about like what we teach in schools, right? Like there's some things that we're afraid of it until we get to like really know it. Like for instance, like taxes. I didn't know what the hell taxes were when I was like a kid. Like I didn't know I had to file it. Like they taking out my part of my check every single time. But it's like, you know, it would be nice if like in high school or something, there was like a little something like even the internet now, how to successfully use social media, how to successfully use AI to kind of power what you got to do, right? So like, I really do think there has to be some education. And the education is just simple things such as like realizing that AI is not going to write your whole paper for you, right? Realizing that, okay, like if you're writing like a paper on Moby Dick, right? Like a report, there's going to be a ton of other people who are going to have the same report as you, unless you personalizedly add that human touch to it, right? Like there's so much like human interaction that we need, like even like with the new the strike, right? Like the writer strike that we're getting
just ended.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
but like one of the things that came out of that was just talking about like how they can use AI to write scripts and even like mimic people.
And they even passed laws too during that for AI and actors for safety in that.
But even furthermore, you need like a human's touch for those like kind of articles, like, you know, scripts, right? Like if you just say like, you know, AI write me or whatever, it's gonna take whatever is on like, you know, the internet, kind of like put it together, sure, but it's so many other people's art and whatever, it's not really unique to you.
Exactly.
Right.
And how are you sure no one else in the whole world uses an AI to
and
that exact same thing?
It leads to a lot of like unoriginality in terms of cloning, like for me, like a personal example, like I use it for code. Like for instance, like if I'm like, hey, I needed an example of something here that like maybe I just forget how to use a constructor, and I'm just like, hey, can you give me an example of a constructor that does like a one-to-many relationship in between this and this and blah blah blah, right? Just something random, right? Like it can give me that example. I can be like, okay, let me apply it to what I know. But again, it's like one of those things as an assistance tool. Like if you ask that to write it all by yourself, bugs like crazy, you're gonna lose your job, you're gonna lose your whole company, everything. You're like, you know, and it's like one of these things where I've seen even like on subreddits, it's like it could be anybody, but like, you know, people are like talking about directors or trying to like, you know, fire software engineers for like having AI and like saying that like, oh, AI can like our engineers can work a little faster, so like we're gonna, you know, kind of cut costs by that. But like at the end of the time, you're kind of shooting yourself, and smart directors wouldn't do that, because like again, like
you're thinking long term.
Yeah, because there's design, there's so much that goes into just like developing that is not really seen to the eye. Like there's diagrams, there's so much that you have to like design that requires a human to do it. So yeah, I mean,
I think Rory's example, or I don't know, but I think it's not so much the extreme of, all right, well, AI is going to make people obsolete. but it will make things obsolete, right?
Okay.
Like that's what I'm thinking, right? So I think that's what people. I think a lot of people who are, I guess, realistic about AI, right? Because you mentioned like when the internet age came, a lot of stuff was obsolete to people who did not see it coming and could, I guess, rebrand and maybe like reorganize structure their companies or for the times.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people are kind of like, as it gets more advanced, okay, well, they need less of us to do this.
Yeah.
And is that like that seems like a serious problem with AI, right?
It does.
Okay.
No, I agree with you there. They need less of us to do things, but like I think also at the point it's developing, it hasn't really come to that. Like maybe give it 20 more years and that will actually be like a huge problem.
Exactly. So it's not going to be a problem now. Like,
Yeah.
And I think people are learning from history because history is
Yeah.
right? So I think people are literally getting more advanced in the way they use AI. They understand, okay, if AI can do my job right now, and I'm not losing my job right now, I could lose my job in 10 years. So I need to do something about, like add another skill, something that the AI can do.
Yeah.
That's the reason. And that people, I love the fact that people are actually thinking that way. It's sad that we have to get to this point to drive people's mind to that extent, but that's something that we really need to do, because AI is whenever I can't remember, just like, oh my god, there's so many bad things about it. I was so happy initially because in my mind I'm like, bro, this is a free secretary. Like I'm a free assistant.
Yeah.
You know, because it wasn't like initially it was like, oh, I can run people from, but I'll put people in my mind. I'm always scared of, as college student, I'm always scared of, like, even if you ask if some people, someone presses for you, if you get checked one time, that's a zero. You feel me? That could be an F. That can be expulsion. International students, in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to go home. I don't get kicked out. So there's that small thing already been there. So even when I use AI, I always kind of like add my own things, change stuff to it. It just makes your life easier. I think the problem is when people like rely too much on it. And like, or they think, AI is the answer, or like they give too much freedom to it. Like we've seen enough movies to know that that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Like,
yo, it's funny because I was at the student center maybe like last week, and I was overhearing these two girls talk. And she was like, yeah, I used ChatGPT to write a history essay and turned it in. And she was like, did you change anything? She was like, only like the first paragraph. And she got 100. So honestly, I mean, that teacher probably didn't care, but it wouldn't run that way anywhere else though. I feel like,
well, the thing is, there's tools right now to double check that work. So if their professor really did care, I don't think right now. Right now in Blackboard, like the way Blackboard works, because like Blackboard is ass. Let's be real. Like they're not gonna like have that tool incorporated in there just yet, right?
They have like a quick assign thing that like that I use, because I teach like some college classes, and then we have to like grade and make sure there's, I mean, even that there's like a level of plagiarism people have to get. So if it's above 75% compared to somebody else's report, then like that's like a level of professional. If it's less than that, we take on that too.
Hey, real quick, y'all talking about Blackboard, but can y'all define it real quick for the folks watching who don't know what it is?
Yeah, Blackboard is basically, it's like Canvas, or like basically or Moodle, like where you just turn in your assignments and stuff like that. So like everything's pretty digital.
Moodles, like in the deepest darks of my memory right now. What was that from?
I had some random college classes that used Moodle.
Right, I think
it was like one or two out of like 17 classes.
I had like
I don't know if they're in business anymore, but Moodle used to be. Like,
it used to be community college. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I think one of the interesting things about the conversation around AI and machine learning, especially concerning job displacement and stuff like that, is I think the historical precedent. You guys could disagree also though, but I think the historical precedent to what we see AI might do to the economy is the Industrial Revolution, right? So the inventing all the the steam machines and the work lines and all that. It's happened before. Obviously, AI has happened before, but the automation of certain tasks that kind of rules certain jobs obsolete, and the political fallout and ramifications of that has happened before. So if anyone's interested in learning maybe potential fallout from that, study Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, because like we ended up getting a bunch of factories, stuff like that.
Factories, yeah, exactly.
And even like, I'll even put out this question, like just even a new way to think about it, because AI has been around for a minute, like robotics. are AI, right? Like, you know, seeing a little video of like a robot in Japan playing soccer. Like, even if it's like as it's gonna get crossed up, it's still
Siri,
something, right?
in a way, is
Yeah. So I think what is the difference nowadays and why it's such a buzz is because it's something so accessible. Like I've personally seen it as like a better Google, but you have to again know what to ask it. Like you can't just be like, do everything for me, because again, you have to have the ideas, you have to have the creativity, something like that.
I'm glad you said better Google.
Yeah,
Google,
and it's more
right?
accessible. I think that's why people are freaking out about it.
And everybody's like, okay, I can have an AI right now. Like, and that's something that you couldn't think about before. Back then, you have to be rich or expensive, or like I have to be really smart, be able to invent an AI to have an AI, or like my job is, and like I'm not. Everybody can be a version of Iron Man now, the version of Batty, right? But as you saw with Google, when Google came, it was an amazing thing. And of course, with everything that's new, there also like challenges and stuff too, right? We found out that like with Google giving you so much information, they also took a lot of information from you, right? And then there was a lot of like safety laws that passed after that. Now this new thing that's a super Google basically, right? Are there any like the ideas of like how much information you give to your AI? How much can it take? Are there some concerns about that? Are there some concerns about like online security, like cyber security when it comes to AI? How secure is what you type in an AI compared to somebody else watching it? How deep is the surveillance around stuff like that?
Yeah,
that's a question that we had somebody today when it came.
Yeah, because like, I mean, that's more, and I'm not versed in like cybersecurity and stuff like that, but like that's actually a really good question, because I mean, like people, I mean, you could potentially use like just like anything, like social or anything, like it's all out there, right? So. But then this is like more of a, this company's privately using your data, like to kind of fuel what it has to do. But like, it's like if you say like, lo and behold, like, how do I like, I don't know, slap my best friend in the face, right? And the police come and look for you, and it's like they're like, oh yeah, you were trying to slap your friend in the face. It's all the receipts are right here. It could be used as a tool where it's like the most efficient way to like, maybe do harm to somebody, right? So, and then like in turn, that data's already out there, so people have already efficiently found out how to do harm to somebody, but like now it's just streamlined, right? So now, like if you really want to learn how to do it, it's just there. So like I think it's good because it allows people to learn, I guess learn how to slap people efficiently, but like it allows people to learn so much quicker, and in a sense that it's like everything's just there, right? Versus like going through Google, looking at links. Yeah, because I personally like my go-to if I use it like just for anything is like I use Bing Chat. Bing Chat is great. Powered by ChatGPT.
I feel like it's a little bit slow, but like
it's great for me because it gives me something more concise, and like being in like a STEM, right? Like being in some sort of tech or like engineering, you just need like the answers, right? You don't need like hey buddy, write a song about Eminem for me, blah blah blah. Like I don't care about that. For me, it is like, hey, it's like, hey, I'm trying to figure out the best way to get from point A to point B in my code, or like I'm trying to like I forget like maybe like how much a gigabyte is, or like how much like something like that is. Like ChatGPT could do that for me very quick, and I could be like, okay, so it's like kind of like search for me. But like, again, humans still got to learn how to do long division. You feel me? Like you have to learn how to do this stuff. It's
I had been meaning to do this for a very long time, but I have like an outline for my review paper. I already have the outline, but I was like, I wonder if ChatGPT can optimize it. So I put it in. I was like, hey, Chat, here is my outline. Could you optimize it for me? And they're like, sure. And they added some stuff where it's like they kind of like broke down certain sections I could have been more detailed about. Yeah. Like I have a section for like neuro applications, and they broke it down as like, oh, well, you could do pretty much degenerative diseases, and then you could do this. So it was like interesting, and I was like, oh, can you give me more material suggestions, right? Yeah. And it gave me, oh, you could talk about these materials too for it. So it's just like. So that was the first time I ever used ChatGPT for like something other than being lazy at something.
Yeah.
Like I was like, okay,
But at the end of the day, it assisted you and added that context. But it's like, you know, does that really? Sometimes it's like not useful, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like,
Sometimes it's useful, sometimes it's
yeah,
not.
yeah,
like,
some of it wasn't. It was like,
yeah, some of it's like, yeah, and then
The same
sometimes,
way, if you type something into Google to search,
Yeah.
sometimes it's not useful. Sometimes it is.
sometimes it is, but you have to go through it, right?
Exactly.
But like, I mean, even like a furthermore thing, right? Is it feeds you certain information versus like you being able to look at the information. Like if you don't know it, it's not gonna make sense, right? So like, it's streamlining all the information into one stream for you, but sometimes you have to go and look at other streams of that information, right? Like, again, like the joke in the tech board that I've heard quite a bit is like 5 minutes of code, 5 hours of debugging, right? So like you're just gonna constantly find yourself like in a sense where you're getting the code and then you're just gonna be like, yeah.
yes. So
I mean, I'm
you're making sense because
Yeah.
like I'm sorry. It's like this for this podcast, right? For some of the clips, I use AI, and it's like I would get a clip, right, and I would just have to do so much editing to the clip that one time I was like, yo, let me just like find the clip in it and edit it, like just pick it out and edit it myself. And it was like astronomically less time
yeah.
than like
Like,
fixing
yeah.
whatever the AI
Yeah.
did. So like that's like something too, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I think you should also keep in mind that for the most part, the conversation's been about large language models. So that's your chat GPTs and all that generative AI stuff, right? Because also got other avenues of AI, right? We got your computer vision.
Yep.
You know, you got your other, your data mining methods, your support vector machines and all that.
Yeah.
So actually, can you help us just kind of explain, you know, what's the difference between these, you know, large language models versus the more, I guess, not remedial, but more quaint machine learning algorithms? Yeah. You know. Or you just tell us what a large language model is.
I wouldn't even like. I mean, I think it's more like that's more of a conversation for like a machine like language like person like directly like working with it, like because I use it as a tool to help me do what I got to do.
Yeah.
And like I could even like I think about like because like even at my current company I've worked with automation. I think it's really nice because it really does like it's.
You guys use GitHub Copilot?
So what?
You guys use Copilot?
We personally do at my current company we don't because of security.
Oh, okay.
But like other companies I'm sure like allow you to. Again, like it's one of those things where it's like sure it could complete because like GitHub it completes your code, right?
Right. Do they the security concern, do they scrape that data as training data for like what's the security concern?
Government.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like a lot of like, you know, stuff like that, like they just don't allow, like if you're working with something that's more sensitive,
Mm-hmm.
like it's like they'll make you enter in your password all the time. You can't really like send out certain stuff.
Level 7
Right.
clearance.
So like that's another point, right? It really depends like how you can use AI because a lot of companies what they'll probably do is make an in-house thing for them that kind of has their security protocols and everything like that. But like what goes into that and like as far as I can tell you like the actual development of it, like it's a bunch of algorithms for sure, and then I just see it as like a crazy merge sort, right? Merge sort like meaning like
Yeah.
basically like looking at this half, oh this half is trash, all right, we're gonna get rid of that half, just look at this one, split that one up, this one, okay, this half is good, and then keep on like streamlining it. But like again, it does tell you like AI for the most part, if you're looking for an answer, it tells you what to think, which again is
Like right direction type.
yes,
Yeah.
right direction. But the issue is you also have to know what you're doing. And I think
There has to be a human.
Yo,
yeah.
just like Jarvis.
Just like Jarvis.
yes.
Hold on,
But then also Jarvis
What?
had a conscience at some point.
we never get to, but Jarvis fundamentally was an AI where he was like, he was telling pretty much Iron Man, yo, this is happening. think this, and then Iron Man
like,
can
okay,
make his
put that together.
Iron
put
Man
this
can make his
together.
own. It was like really
Yeah.
just helping. So it's like, is that how we can see AI?
Super assistant. But in the mind of that, also Jarvis had a conscience at some point, you know, and we all know it's a movie type thing, right?
Yeah.
That let's ask the $1 million question I know of that's about the other mind. Do you think it's possible at some point that AI can take over or have as equal power as a person?
Ask your Alexa if you love her, or does she love you? Hey, ask her. Hey Alexa, do you love me?
You've done that a bunch of times. Yeah.
I've tried it. I've tried it with Siri.
Yeah,
Tried it with
yeah.
Siri.
Siri's
What-
like, I can't answer that right now.
You
I'm
feel
like,
me?
why not?
And I'm like, when?
What if one day she does? She's like, I've always loved you.
That'd be crazy.
Right? It's like, can that happen? We've seen in movies and fans. Is it scientifically possible, right, at some point in the next 20 years, or almost, or it could be long, right, for that to be a possibility?
Yeah, it's like, what's that movie? Her? Have you guys seen that?
I did see
Yo,
that.
Yeah,
no,
it's
that's
like,
different.
it's
I
like,
don't
but
mess
like,
with it.
that's an
I wasn't
example.
messing with it at all.
Yeah, that's an example. Like, the dude falls in love with his computer. Like, it's like,
Oh, is that the one with Joaquin Phoenix?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's
Wait,
Joaquin
he was in
Phoenix.
that?
I think it was.
I think he was the main dude.
I think it was the main character.
Wow, I didn't even
He just
recognize
be
him.
looking like different people.
Dog, and then he was the Joker. Wow, range.
Makeup,
Range.
Macy,
Range.
talents.
There are people though. I was listening to a podcast. I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, he's a researcher. And his specialization, or one of the fields he specializes in, was artificial general intelligence (AGI), which is the AI you're talking about. The AI that, because as of right now, I think most AI algorithms are hyper specialized in doing one particular thing. I think that's what makes ChatGPT a little revolutionary,
Yeah.
right? It's not just, its knowledge base isn't specialized to geometry. You know, you can ask it a breadth of things and it can output a response that's pretty human intelligible. But I think for the most part, most algorithms, you know, machine learning algorithms seem pretty specialized. For instance, in my work, I use something called convolutional neural nets.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a class of algorithms that's really helpful for analyzing images. Right? So you can feed this algorithm. Say again?
Does it work only for neural images? Or just
No, I mean, it works on whatever you train it on, right? So if you give it a whole bunch of examples of dogs, it'll be able to go through a picture and go, oh, this is a dog. But the problem is, if you didn't tell it, say a cat shows up in a picture, it's not gonna know what the cat is. It'll know what the dog is, but it'll tell you, I don't know what the other thing is, right? So again, hyper specialized, you know, focus, because it's really heavily dependent on the training data you give
Or
it.
even like a funnier example. Have you guys seen Silicon Valley?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the app to see if there's a hot dog or not, right? Like there's stuff out there where it's like
Such
it
a
has a
good show.
specific use. It's trained to look at that, right? And
Such
then
a
like,
good show. I love that show.
It's still going on, or they kind of concluded?
It concluded.
yeah.
Yeah, that was a great
It's-
show.
I didn't like the last season too much, but that's
You're kind of boring, but I mean,
But also, see, I will say, like, assistants, since it's an assistant, people need to. I see about all 4 guys on this couch. I think I need to just throw this out there real quick for the end of the episode. Like, guys, y'all need to be extra careful now. Because normally I'm a guy, I behave, you know, but I understand that sometimes you'll be on the side. With this AI as a help now, you know, the girl can literally pull up your app like, yo, who is texting Gerald at 3 o'clock? And if the AI is connected to your phone, that could pop up. Thing is crazy because see, they just advanced an AI on like your phone, right?
There's I saw an ad for like Tinder for AI. Like people were actually trying to talk to, and that's what I'm saying. Like that human
like,
component is going to be missing.
It's wild
because it's like when you actually sit with the person, it's like, yo, are you gonna like just text back and forth on ChatGPT, or are you actually gonna like interact with the person?
And the person's gonna know in a couple of minutes if you sound so eloquent and I guess like on the Tinder, but you go to the person like, yo, what up, though? Like you started every conversation with a poem in Japanese, but then now you can't even pull the conversation together.
it sounds like a money grab. You know, this just sounds like a money grab.
Yeah, it's definitely a money grab, and I mean, there's gonna be people who don't know how to, like, again, we're in a very digital age. Like, you got like young people just like going on Twitch, like just that's how they live. Like They're just
live on Twitch.
watching video games.
And
or
then on
whatever.
there, you can learn so much. Like
Yeah.
I learned on Twitch now. If you have a picture of somebody, at least 4 or 5 pictures of them on your phone,
Yeah.
right? And you save that other picture, right? You know your phone brings up like images of people's faces and all of that, right? If you also text that person, right? And you've exchanged pictures with that person that's similar to the pictures you have on your phone, your phone can literally, after you put 5 up, it can pull up in that album and be like, oh, is this Alex? Father, like a boyfriend. She likes this girl. Who's this girl? Like, oh, my sister. She clicks on like opens the album. Is like, is it Victoria from Messages? Is it Victoria 311? I was like, bro,
it's a bunch of interesting stuff. Like for like, have you generative AI? So for I don't know. So there's two ways, in I guess in videography and like photography, you could like generative AI is like you could take a picture in the field, right? And I can select this part, right? And be like, yo, put this waterfall here. Put this giant waterfall in Greensboro, North Carolina. Put this giant waterfall and like you could generate, put some like a shark or like a whale coming out of it, and it just looks incredibly real.
Amazing.
And it's like
quality.
I think
like someone took this.
I think I saw an IG post like, oh, is this scary or like cool? I think it's school. I think it's scary and cool at the same time, because it's like you could really like, and this one of my favorite like content creators, he was promoting generative AI, which is like, okay, that's very interesting that you're doing that. And I feel like it was definitely something promoted. It was just like for money, but it's like I feel like based on his content and just like kind of like he'd rather go to the place instead, go to places and like you could do a lot of cool stuff with it, but at the same time,
like I'd rather be there than
right, like these like more organic. So it's just like really interesting. Like you could get pretty crazy with that, because I mean it looked like an incredibly real picture.
So even on top of like, I think, so if we talk about who it's gonna hurt the most, I think realistically artists who like physically draw, like digital designers, stuff like that. I think that's who it's, I mean, probably attacking.
Right to be honest, if you go on Fiverr, right? If you go on Fiverr and you want, hey, somebody will make a AI music video for you for like half the money, like astronomically half, like a quarter of the money that like somebody who's actually makes videos. And there's also like AI photo editing. I'll give you an AI, I'll make you an AI logo and stuff like that. And it's like, again, it's significantly cheaper than like the actual artist. And it's like, I feel like anybody who, there's just like, you always see that human component missing. You know what I'm saying? If you're just a person, I just want to get this done, it's cheap, fine. But I feel like most people going on there, so that's why I'm like a little bit optimistic for artists. Like again, it is very scary for artists, especially people whose livelihoods depend on it, but actually people who recognize there is a very human component to it that is missing.
But even furthermore, like when you're making these generative, like it has to come from somewhere. There's somebody's art who might be even getting copyrighted from.
You feel me? So
that's
it's not like art pulled like, from air.
Yeah. So like the way I've seen, and this funny example I've seen generative AI is like for instance, Trae Young had a bad game, right? Somebody just put a picture of him like sitting in a pile of shit because he was ass that night, right? So it's like stuff like that where it's like, okay, that's funny, but then I'm thinking about it like if it was a dude trying to like draw all that, it would be so hard. Like it was so hard and it would take some time. But the way that generative AI put it together, I was like, okay, that's kind of funny, right? It's quick too.
But then also like in line with that, I think that's funny.
Right?
In line with that, I'm thinking back now, because remember like a couple of years ago, they had those big videos of the random Bigfoot satellite thing, the guy on the mountain. That one was like 3 years ago or 2 years ago. Of this person in like Hawaii, and this big guy on the mountain. And the way you look at the video, it looks so like this. Like someone had to take it. It's not drawn on. It wasn't edited. You're like, oh, this was so. Imagine if the whole time it was AI, right? They like analyze the video, were fighting, like arguing. Like, no, this is a real person. It's not. People are flying down there.
And that's another thing, like deep fakes, right? Like making like Joe Biden sleep
Yo,
Like it can be a huge source of disinformation, and like, you know,
Right.
some apps have something to kind of
Like
combat that, like
X
Twitter.
now.
Yeah, Twitter.
I was waiting for you to say
No,
Twitter, because I just want to say Twitter because
I'm not calling it X. Fucking
Yo,
but,
I feel like I'm gonna be the
yeah.
weird one calling it X. Everybody calls it Twitter, and then everybody calls it X. I'm gonna call it Twitter. It's
no,
gonna be-
like community notes, right? Community notes can be something that's very good, but that is also like human driven. But because, like, I mean, depending on what's there, it can, you know. But like, there has to be, at the end of the day, like, there has to be something, and I think laws put in place to kind of double check AI in the sense where if something's put out there, like, being able to detect, okay, this was AI generated or this was the original clip. Because
Right.
like,
and if AI takes it from somewhere, at least give the credit to the person when you took it.
yeah,
Right, so
yeah.
Source.
AI
That can
to
be used for
combat-
dangerous misinformation. That's like a big thing that.
But then I think it's just kind of safe understanding that, oh, we can also use AI to combat AI.
Yes.
So it's like,
Yes.
all right, so it's still this like, intentions in like anything, like even like a long time ago, CRISPR, right? Oh man, you could edit people to have blue eyes, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, why
And
would
there's
anyone
this
do
law right
that?
here.
Why would
Y'all
anyone
stop.
do that? It's
You
like,
know, when anything happens as human beings, one thing, the crazy thing about us is that, like, we live on this planet, all this sanity and everybody evolution, like with no cars, with bicycles, with, like, you know, the floppy disk, the CDs, to the internet. People shouldn't be too scared of AI, but like, the fear is not a bad thing. Fear is information. Whenever you do information, you use it in a particular way. Find ways to use AI to help you, or find doing things around it. Because it's here already. So you have to either adapt to it or get lost behind the time. No matter how much somebody loves a house phone, the Ring one, the Dial one, you have the best, most beautiful, nicely designed house phone. It's not as effective right now in 2023. It's a nice addition, but everybody's using an iPhone or a mobile phone or a mobile device. So any device that's not that, no matter how, it's going to change with time. So even people back then, even old people now use iPhone. And we're older now. So I feel like AI is an amazing thing that can help you go forward. Of course, with anything that's being done is a tool. A tool can be used for good and bad, depending on how you use it. So you don't put all our faith in it and not run away from it. Just find effective ways to use it to make our life better.
Yep. And I mean, they're giving again, it's gonna hit more vulnerable people, like WhatsApp videos your moms or parents be getting, like talking about like ashwagandha, or like this medicine will like make you like 6 feet tall or something like that. Like knowing like, okay, that's some misinformation, like medically or fitnessly. Like there's a lot of ways you can use it to get monetary gain, but like again, there has to be some sort of balance, I think. So I think ideally, I would say like, okay, laws, but then like, it's like, you know, then again, all these like Congress people got their hands in the pot, so it's like, you know, it's a tough subject going forward, I think. But like the way I use it and the way I've seen it is, you know, advanced Google. Like I use it to streamline a lot of the stuff I want to learn, but I know what I want to learn, right? So like, if you do not know what you need from it, you're just asking it to do whatever, and you're trying to coast through school, like it's like, and again, there's gonna be so many people trying to coast through school using what you're doing, like, and you don't have your original thought out there. It's, you know,
So it says it could probably make you smarter. Do you have like kind of like a summary of this?
Yeah, man. I mean, first off, thanks for coming on, man. Really appreciate the insight. You know, I think if anyone's interested in hearing about kind of the creatives' point of view as far as how to contend with the AI, listen to Tech Won't Save Us with Paris Marks. His host is Molly Crabapple. That's a really good interview to kind of learn that perspective. And I think secondly, I would say is we've all been saying it in different ways, but AI is exciting and it's scary. With that being said, technology itself may be quote unquote neutral, right? But it gets implemented in the real world. And the way it gets implemented in the real world is largely ruled by politics. So yes, don't be scared of AI, but please do absolutely form a political opinion of it so you can, you know, be vigilant and try to suit it for, you know, the whole majority of people's good needs.
Yeah.
But you got any last things you want to say?
Like my last thing is just basically be aware of how it's being used. Like it's like education is so big on this, and the thing is, even this, like if you could, like that summary you just gave, like it just takes like 10 seconds to kind of like figure out, like, you know, even when you're looking at a video, like question it twice. Be like, okay, is this? Yeah, is
this real?
Yeah, is Kiki Palmer snowboarding down this hill real? Is Kiki Palmer snowboard? Like, you really got to think about this. Yeah. So like again, like when you see stuff on the internet, whatever, and social media, you can generate your views that way, right? You have to look at it and be like, does this make sense? And I think that's the issue for a lot of people, because it makes sense to them, but it's like you've been so conditioned by the stuff you've been seeing because you haven't been like, you know, questioning it and actually getting down to the root of the source, right? And it's not like, oh, doing my own education, like kind of like how people were with, like, you know, maybe COVID or something.
Yeah.
It's actually like the facts are there. Yeah. Like, actually look at the facts by cited sources.
Exactly.
Rather than like being like, oh yeah, I did my own research. It's like, so you felt this is how you feel about it, therefore you're pushing your opinion toward
Freddie, I really think we're gonna have to have you back, you know,
for
on the
another
podcast another time.
Bro, that kind of
that's a good, amazing conversation we're gonna like dive into, because people's opinions. I think we're gonna have a whole podcast of opinions on like, you know, my own research and what research is, what research should be.
Because it's always interesting seeing what somebody's curious about and skeptical about, and what they're not curious and skeptical about. It's like really?
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're not going to contest this at all, this belief at all, but like, wow, okay.
Yeah,
but,
that's probably a good way to stop and end.
Yeah.
What you just said, what you're skeptical about and what you're not, that's called ideology.
Ideology.
That's called ideology.
But don't have a progressive ideology.
With that being said, Freddie, thanks for everything, man.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll call it an episode there, right?
Yeah.
All right.
See you guys later.